Hello, GenderqueerChat viewers. My name is Christina, and I apologize for not being here for the past couple weeks because I got busy with schoolwork. So, I'm going to try to touch on the past couple topics and before I get on to this week's topic. So, 2 weeks ago, the topic was, does it matter what other people think? And unfortunately, in our current society, it does matter to a certain extent, because people need to get jobs, to earn money, to pay for food, and survive. And so, it kind of matters because you have to sort of present in a certain way to get a job. I mean, you have to have, certain skills, and you have to be a certain amount of, you have to have a certain amount of likability. You certainly can't be violent, not that that's a good thing, but, that's one thing you can't do. You can't, differ too far from the norm, because, things don't work out. People who have, anybody who can't communicate properly has a disadvantage. Like, there's people in our world, obviously, who have a disadvantage, who can't, not that that's directly related to the topic, but, if you were to not be as socially acceptable, then you might not be able to get a job, and you might not be able to get money, so you kind of gotta stay within a certain something, unfortunately, which really sucks, but such is life. I can't just, I don't know. Anyway, that's just my touching on the topic. Moving on to last week's topic, which is quite the topic. It is, what is your vision for an ideal gender culture in a society? Came from a Facebook question, which is excellent. Always love the viewer questions. So basically, yeah, the answers are limitless. What would you want in an ideal society concerning gender? And I think that I've thought about this for a while, and it is a very, very tough question. So I think, because some suggestions are made within this question. Like, you could have more genders, like 3 or 5 or whatever. And I think that wouldn't necessarily get to the root of the problem, because I think gender is such a personal thing and there's so much variation that 3 or 4 or 5 or however many genders may not necessarily cover them all. So somebody is going to feel left out. So I don't think that doesn't quite work. So I think I think there has to be an acceptance of all kinds of variation. And, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe there should be a spectrum of genders, but that's just a line. So there could be people who don't fit quite on that line. So it's you can't totally organize it. So I think the way that I see it is, in any area of life, I think people should be in charge of their own destiny as much as possible. That's what I believe. Sadly, life doesn't always work that way, but I think that that's what we should aim for. So I think whatever gender people want to identify as, just, accept them the way that they want to label themselves. I think we're heading in the right direction as we are more accepting. We're taking baby steps. We're slowly becoming more accepting of trans people, binary trans people, and hopefully we're slowly being accepting of genderqueer people. The problem comes in situations like, for example, I had an issue a couple weeks ago, and I made a Facebook status about it. which was why, because I went to Subway, and I swear to God, these employees are trained to constantly refer to people as sir or ma'am or miss or whatever. Because it happens so often that I'm guessing that they are trained to refer to customers this way. So I was kind of sick of that, because in particular, when I went to Subway this one, like, usually I let it slide. It's fine, whatever, but this one time, this guy, I swear to God, it was like every sentence. It's like, so, you know, what kind of blah 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 do you want? Blah, 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 blah. Like, and at the end of, like, almost every sentence, he referred to me as miss or ma'am. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, okay, the first sentence, when you address me at first, that's fine. But why did you have to say it in every single sentence? Practically every single sentence. Almost every single sentence. So I'm like, this is a bit much. I can't deal. So I made a Facebook status, and everybody was like, because I was fed up, right? So I was just getting my emotions out, which in Facebook is not a good thing to do. Tumblr is good for that. Facebook, not so much. So I said something about, dear Subway employees, please stop referring to people as sir or ma'am or miss, because I am sick of it. Thank you. Okay, thanks, bye, blah, blah, blah. Something like that. And everybody was like, well, some people liked it. Some people did, who are supportive of my gender and my opinions. And some people, cisgender, obviously. Actually, one of them was a trans guy who wasn't 100% on my side. But most of them were like, I don't know, most of them argued against it, basically. And said, you know, some people were like, well, you shouldn't care what they think, or some people were like, which, I mean, totally valid, and some people were like, you know, this is impractical because the vast majority of the population are cis, and, or are binary, because even trans people, you know, would, I think, for the most part, fit into sir, well, binary trans people would fit into sir or ma'am, except for those who don't pass. So, you know, that's an issue. One friend of mine even said that if they're addressing you as sir or ma'am, that they're not referring to your gender. And I'm like, what? Anyways, so I'd like to know what other people think. What you guys think. I'd love to leave your comments. Hear your comments. So, my thinking is, let's get rid of this. If we're strangers, you don't need to address my gender. Let's just not even worry about it. Like, you have to, like, that's what I wrote in my status. I was like, you don't need to refer to my gender or something like that. And I said, just, you have to make my sandwich. That's your job. Just do that. So, oh jeez, I'm lagging. I'm taking too long. So basically, anyways, I think people should just be accepting of whatever people want to label themselves as. And I think, oh, the other point that I was going to make is that gender, I don't think, should be totally gotten rid of, because people, you know, cis men, or men in general, women, there's a certain camaraderie, that's the word, camaraderie, between them. Like, it brings them together, you know. It's part of shaping your identity, is gender. And so, I don't think, you know, it really, people really, you know, it's important to them. So I don't think we can totally get rid of it. And it's important to trans people, obviously, and it's important to genderqueer people to a certain extent, depending on whether you're, you know, genderless or not. And it's important to cis people, you know. So I don't think it can be gotten rid of, but I think we seriously have to be way more accepting of, like, any variation. In that, you know, whether it's genderqueer people, and I don't think that you can, I hate if people assume what your gender is, in regards to how you look. I don't like that. Because gender expression doesn't always match gender identity. For me, I think I look pretty neutral, so I think it's kind of there. I'm blessed with a low voice, so you can, I mean, there's characteristics about me that look like and sound androgynous, so I'm, you know, that's good, but not everybody's like that. So, yeah, and I think that, you know, if women want to wear men's clothes, that's fine. That's another thing. I totally agree with Quincy that, you know, the separation of men's and women's clothing, I'm so done. I am so done with that. It's just, God, yeah, I just can't deal anymore. So, that should be gone. Screw that. Let's just have tons of different clothes of whatever the hell, and have it not be so gender-focused. I mean, you can have sort of gender, and if a man wants to wear a dress, I don't think people should care. So, you know, whatever, like, it shouldn't matter. Yeah. Also, I'm not sure if I agree with the idea of children being genderless until they hit puberty. It sounds good in theory, but a lot of little kids are very aware of their gender at toddler age. So, and most importantly, that regardless of anyone's gender, that they should not be discriminated against based on that gender. So, this week's topic is, drumroll, talk about the people in your life who have been most supportive, understanding of your gender, questioning who sees you as you. So before I answer the first half of the question, who sees you as you? Nobody. Because nobody can totally see me 100% as myself. Because myself is, you know, you can't 100% know me. It's not doable. In reference to a Jan Arden song, what I am is too far in to be found, or something along those lines. So, who is the most supportive and understanding? Well, one of my best friends is a trans guy who I think is genderqueer, doesn't totally identify as male, or genderless, or some such thing. So he is really, really understanding and supportive of my gender identity, which is, I mean, he's the only person that I can really, out of my close friends, he's the only person that I can really talk to about gender things, which is great. I'm really, really thankful to have a friend like that. But I mean, all my close friends are supportive of my gender. They're not necessarily 100% understanding, but they're definitely supportive, and accepting, absolutely. So I'm in a choir, which I may have mentioned before, and I'm lucky enough that most of the people in the choir are pretty accepting. I mean, I'm very, very out to everybody in the choir that I'm genderqueer, and they don't really care, which is great. For the most part, they don't really care, which is fantastic. There's, like, no discrimination on it, you know, towards me based on it. I'm lucky enough that there's one particular girl in the choir that is more aware of gender issues. She's cis, but she seems to be more aware of things, and so she's cool that I can talk to her a little bit more about gender things. So yeah, considering I'm sorry that I didn't spend more time on this week's topic as opposed to last week's topic, but I have to wrap this up because it's getting late now. I'm spending too much time talking. So, I will see you guys next week, and yeah. Oh, guys, please keep making audition videos. We need more subs for the channel. So please make more, and tell us how you identify, and why you want to be a part of the channel, and yada yada yada. A little bit about yourself, interesting facts, etc. So, see you next week.